All right, next order of business is I'm going to create a new file in the utils called errors.js so that we can handle any errors that happen in our application whenever there's an HTTP request to our API. And in here, I'm going to do a few things. I'm going to create an express error class that extends the generic error, and I'm going to create a constructor method that takes in the message and the status, and I'm going to call super on the error, and I'm going to say this.message is equal to message, and this.status is equal to status. And this error just subclasses the standard error so that we can return errors that make it easy for our users to know what is happening in our application, and it doesn't expose any confidential information, at least. So then I'm also going to create another error, a not found error, and I'm going to extend the express error here. And this error will be used whenever something is not found. So if they are looking for a resource and it does not exist on our server, we're going to send them a not found error. And we're going to call super, which will call the constructor method of the parent class. And it is going to take in the message and the status of 404. And then we're going to create one more bad request error. And this will happen when the user sends a request that has some kind of body or anything about the request that doesn't jive with the way our application is working. And so we're going to say, no, we don't like that. We're sending you back a bad request message. And so this message will just say bad request. And then we are going to call super message 400. And then we're going to export all of these errors. So module.exports equals express error, not found error. I spelled that wrong. There we go. And bad request error. So just some classic error handling that we did in the previous series. If you don't remember that, I encourage you to watch those again. Otherwise, don't worry about it too much. This is just going to help us send back informative errors to the client. So then I'm going to head back to the server, and notice, by the way, that my server restarted as soon as I saved this file. And so now these are available and I don't have to restart the server. Everything just works as is. So I can now head back into my server and I can go ahead and import the errors we might need and then make sure we have a generic error handler, excuse me, that we can use. So we can say not found error is equal to require, and then we'll grab that utils errors.js file. And below right here, we'll actually set up a 404 error handler in case we get a request that didn't match a route in our routing system, in our API. And so we'll say, hey, I want you to use a function, rec res next, and this will run if it attempted to hit one of the other routes and it did not work, it did not find anything. It'll say next with a new not found error. And it'll call this next function, which will pass on this error to whatever's next. And whatever's next will be the generic error handler we define here. And any error that is unhandled will be handled here, and we'll send back that error message to the client. So we'll say, if we get an error, we'll take the rec object, the res object, and the next callback, and we will say the status is equal to error.status, or 500 if we did not define that error status. And I got to spell status correctly. And we will say, hey, the message is equal to error.message. And then we will return res.status with whatever status we have defined or the 500 status. And we will send back some JSON where we have an error with the message and the status. And so this should handle all errors in our application and just provide a clean interface for the user to know exactly what's happening if something went wrong here because of our error or because of the way they formatted their request. And so now we save this, we see the server restart, we should be good to go. On to the next part.